Hello everybody, and welcome to The Beat 'em Up Guy, where we play and review games in the beat 'em up genre and see how they stack up next to each other. Today we're going to be reviewing the 2010 release Shank, made by Clea Entertainment, who have gone on to make such small games as Don't Starve and the upcoming Hot Lava. Now I will warn you, if you're under 18, you may want to skip this one because Shank is not for the lighthearted. But before we get into it, I have to look the part. Just a headband. That's not much of a costume. Shank is a modern-day retelling of the old Western tale where the protagonist's girlfriend, wife, whatever, has been killed by a gang of ruffians who he believes to be friends. And now, it falls upon him to exact his revenge upon these poor souls. The only thing that's missing from the typical equation is that the end boss doesn't turn out to be your father, which, by the way, I was completely expecting to happen, and was surprised when it didn't. And the only reason why it's modern is because the classic insults such as varmint, scallywag, stuff like that have been traded in for so much foul language that even George Carlin would cringe. Now if you're over 18 and you don't know who George Carlin is, do yourself a favor and go look him up. You may recognize him from Kevin Smith's Dogma. Now if you don't know who Kevin Smith is, go watch Clerks. Now if you don't know what Clerks is, go get a job at McDonald's, spend a year there, lose your mind, spend another year there, get promoted, but then Steve yells at you because you put too much mustard on a hamburger or something like that, get promoted again because nobody has any idea what in the heck is going on, and then just quit and deep fry your hat one day. Shank is truly a comic book come to life. A very violent comic book, but a comic book nonetheless. It trades in the ability to move up and down like other side-scroller beat-em-ups, and only allows you to move left or right, playing into the 2D feel that you would get from reading an issue of Spider-Man or Batman. This also helps when Shank's enemies come onto screen and they look bigger than life. I mean, look at this guy. He looks so much more menacing and daunting than, say, a Bobo from the Double Dragon series. Also, that 2D plane really comes into play here. It gives you the feeling that you can't get away and really makes the situation scarier. It's amazing how the developers were able to take something away from the traditional movement style of a beat-em-up and then tell a better story by doing so. When those huge enemies come onto the screen and you can only move left or right and have to face off mano-a-mano, your adrenaline starts pumping and that fight gets real. And it also doesn't break its own rules like another game we reviewed. Speaking of large enemies, Shank's bosses are some of the most entertaining that I've had the pleasure of facing off against in quite a while. From mass wrestlers to a gimp named Denny, there's pretty much everything on the spectrum here. There's also strategy to each boss fight. If you just try and take the boss on, you're gonna have a bad time. But if you pay attention and you learn where each one's weakness is, such as Denny grabbing a squirrel man before reaching you, you can rack up a lot of damage and make those fights a bit easier and more entertaining. A gimp named Denny. Sounds like a good name for an artistic film or a romance novel. Controls are unfortunately a little bit clumsy in this game. Shank starts off with his iconic knife alongside a chainsaw, which are used in combination with each other, similar to a light and hard attack. Additionally, he begins with dual pistols, but other weapons such as a samurai sword and Uzi will soon be unlocked that can be chosen at any time. However, the D-pad is used to change these weapons, so when in the middle of an intense fight, I found myself having a difficult time getting the correct weapon that I wanted to use. So I pretty much stuck with just one or two throughout the entire game while ignoring the rest. Good on the developers for including so many options, but when enemies are bearing down on me, I'm moving around with my thumbstick, I'm firing my pistols, pressing up 3 times on the D-pad to specifically get to my machete just isn't gonna happen. Grappling is also in the game in 2 forms. The traditional walking up to somebody and grabbing them, and also a leaping knife stab, which looks really cool, but can be difficult to find the right spot to use. When you're grappling an enemy, you're still vulnerable to being killed by their friends, and the animation can take quite a few moments to complete. So aside from the rare occasion where I was alone with an enemy, I didn't find myself using this mechanic that much. Another cool mechanic is that the healing potion is beers. So let's just say that this non-sponsored delicious Full Throttle is a beer. Let's go. The music is forgettable, which I guess is something that you want in a side-scroller beat 'em up. It highlights the important story beats, but it isn't so loud and obnoxious that it distracts you from the game. So I guess it served its purpose, but it didn't leave a lasting mark, which is unfortunate, because there are games such as Scott Pilgrim vs. the World the Game that have a fantastic soundtrack and you find yourself singing it in the car later on. Shank isn't that difficult of a game. I was able to finish the campaign in about 3 hours, and it has local co-op. So invite a friend over, tackle this as a team, and leave with some fond but haunting memories. All in all, Shank is a really fun game, and its $10 price tag is right about where I put it, especially if you invite a friend over. It's filled with hilarious and epic moments that I completely enjoyed and will remember for quite a while. Now, let's see where it lines up on the board. So there you go. I really enjoyed Shank, and I suggest it for all levels of beat 'em up players, all the way from beginners to veterans. There's something new for everybody. That wraps us up for this week. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Without the headband.
It is time for the war and battle. That's right. War and battle. War and battle. War and battle.